Hello, Taurus. Welcome to your reading for the week of January 6th. We're starting on the weekend for the week of. Okay, so when I started saying my prayers and asking for guidance, the first image that my guides gave me was of a kettle that was boiling and then was going off. And as I questioned that, the image that I got was, you know, when you boil a kettle to make a cup of tea and the kettle boils, but you get distracted and so you don't actually end up making the tea. And so you turn it on again. And then you get distracted and you don't make a cup of tea again. So there's that sense of this repeated turning on the energy, but then it dropping. Not working, you not completing that thing. The feeling that I'm getting is not that it's about you not completing a thing. What I feel the message here is don't burn out the tea kettle. Pay attention to what you're doing. Don't put energy where you don't need to put it if it's not going to be used. And don't waste the energy, number one, and don't let the continued use of it burn out the water so that you end up damaging the kettle, okay? Now, as I pulled these cards, you got quite a few, and one of the first ones that you got was resistance. So I'm looking at this and I'm saying, okay, what the guidance is this week in terms of your self-awareness and how to work with things that might be coming up is that there may be situations here where you are feeling yourself resisting. What does resistance feel like? It can feel like going over the same thing in your head over and over, kind of like turning that tea kettle back on, right? It can be avoiding something that you need to do. It can be suddenly finding yourself just really anxious inside in a way where you're almost paralyzed and can't move forward and do something. Or it might be just like complete rejection of it. No, don't want to know. So if there is a situation that is creating any kind of resistance for you, what you're being asked is do your very best to let it be. Don't keep turning the kettle on by repeating the thoughts in your head or engaging in whatever the resistance of activity is. Notice it, name it. That's really valuable, and there's probably stuff behind there for you in terms of understanding what's really getting under your skin. But now, do your best during this period of time to just step back and let it be. Don't resist what it is. Just notice it, name it, see what you can do with it. The way that you can get out of it is to choose being kind, okay? Now, the choose being kind doesn't have to mean if it's a situation that's really irritating you, that you have to do anything kind towards this person or this situation. But I'm thinking even if it's a situation such as you're waiting for something to come in the mail and it's been delayed because of the postal strike or the backlog of all of that, instead of railing against whatever delivery company has been delayed, do your best to just get out of the blaming, get out of the around it not being there. Just go, okay, this is what it is. And now I'm just going to move into the energy of everybody's doing their best. That's all. Okay? Now, if it's a person and it's a personality that you have to be dealing with on a regular basis, that gets to be a little bit more challenging for sure. But again, if it's in a relationship that you're constantly having to deal with, it deserves to be looked at, right? If there is this consistent thing, there may be another way of dealing with your feelings that you're creating resistance to, because it's really your feelings. It's not the other person. It's your feelings. As soon as you change your feelings about that other person, everything starts to shift. Okay. Now, you're asked, the energy that you're being asked to really embrace here, besides the choose the kind, is to really pay attention to what your mind is doing, because that's kind of like the baseline here. Now, what they're really suggesting here is Pay attention to what your mind is doing, because all the astrologers say this is a really, really important time for Taurus to be creating what they want, how they want to experience their future. You're being asked, do one thing at a time. Don't overwhelm yourself. Don't get distracted, so that you keep having to go back and turn the tea kettle on. That whole energy of being distracted, not using your energy. But most importantly, it's dropping the stress around the resistance, dropping whatever stressors you can drop at this point in time, because it's so important where you're manifesting from. Your mind, you're being reminded here, is that your mind is... The mind is not only the tool with which we interpret the world around us. The mind is the great cosmic cookie cutter which manifests our world according to its shape and the ingredients we put into it. So what you're being really asked to do is pay attention to where your mind is going. Drop. Okay, got it. Drop whatever is irritating you around whatever the resistance is around. Look at what your mind is doing with it. If you keep going into the resistance and playing it out, pushing that old button, then what you're doing is you're really generating more of that energy with your mind. And that's what you're being asked not to do. Do one thing at a time. Trust that there is guidance and there is divine energy in your life, working in your life, if that's what's going to allow you to really step back and look at life differently. And look at where you're being guided. Be open in your mind and really deliberately, really seriously, deliberately be mindful of where your mind goes and what kind of intuition you're getting guidance from. How is the universe sending you messages? Pay attention to that. In terms of whatever your resistance is, you're being asked, what was my role in that? Okay? So whenever you find yourself going into situations, old situations that are irritating you, that might be holding you back with a heavy energy, you don't want to manifest from that place, okay? It really, really is in your best interest to take responsibility for whatever your role is, either in the situation that created resistance or just in what is your role in maintaining that resistance in your own mind, okay? Do it big. Quantum leap of faith. One thing at a time. Drop whatever you're stressing. Do your very best. I'm going to read the Choose Kind card because I think it's really, really worthwhile to look at kindness this way. Today, whenever you have a choice between right or kind, choose kind. Under the subject of right, you could also include domineering, sarcastic, smarter than, superior to, stronger than, witty at someone's expense, or offended. Okay? So choose kind. If you find yourself going into any of those attitudes or energies, step back, go into kindness. And if you're having a hard time with that, go into gratitude. Gratitude is a beautiful, beautiful energy, and it opens you up to receive more of good stuff. So combine that with your mind. Do it big. Really, really let yourself focus on that, okay? And if you find yourself getting caught up in all that stuff, stand back and say, okay, I'm an adult. What was my role in that? And that, my dear Taurus, is your reading for the week of January 6th. I hope it's helpful. Likes, shares, comments, everything is appreciated. And I will be back in a week's time. So take care.